Hello, I'm Lamisila Pamela Ngubane, and this is the Entity Dynamics podcast. Entity Dynamics is a culture development consultancy where we believe that culture creates behavior and behavior creates reality. So, the title of this video is A Culture of Using the Right Words, Shame versus Humility. So, shame, I believe, is what actually fuels the rat race. And the reason why I say this is because, we are made to feel ashamed of ourselves if we don't get to work on time. We are made to feel ashamed of ourselves if we're not making a lot of money so that we can buy fancy things that make us look good in other people's eyes. During the whole festive season period, I was talking about how it's so sick of us as a society that little kids have to feel ashamed of themselves that their parents don't have money to buy them new clothes for Christmas, and it's a thing, I see it. I've personally interacted with people going through that type of crisis. So shame is a low vibrational frequency. It doesn't feel good. And when you're locked into a cycle of being made to feel ashamed of yourself, it really dampens your ability to actually realize your potential as a human being on this planet, right? And I think that when we are in the cycle of shame, we also then become extremely disempowered and prone to being manipulated by people because that manipulation usually takes the form of a promise that your shame will be alleviated, and then you will stop feeling in that negative, horrible, uneasy way that shame makes you feel. Humility, on the other side of this, is a vibration, which is actually a high frequency vibration. And it's a vibration that is based on the reality of I am just like everyone else. I am a human being with other human beings on this planet. I must treat people with respect. I must do unto others as I would have them do unto me. I must take care of my body. I must manage my time properly because I am not living in the realm of the spirit world where a thought is what creates reality. In this physical 3D world, reality is created through physical actions which manipulate physical matter. Obviously, that is an expression, and the ultimate expression of your internal culture. You know what I'm saying? So humility is very much based on reality. Shame is based on the perception that your worth as a human being is determined by other people's behavior towards you, essentially, and that's not real. That's not true, So shame harnesses our propensity as humans to live in illusion and to be made to believe lies, essentially, and it also traps you very much in your ego expression, and it becomes very difficult for you to see beyond the physical reality and the physical body that you inhabit. Whereas humility allows you to consider that there's much more to reality than the physical body and the physical time-space continuum that we are inhabiting at this point. So if we were interacting with our jobs, the schedule of taking our children to school, our neighbors, our fellow human beings on the basis of humility, we would be very much like, okay, I'm humbly going to seek to meet you at your standard as my employer, as the principal of my child's school, and be there on time and do my work and give my best. But I'm not going to succumb to the shame of maybe ending up getting into a car accident because I'm so anxious to be there on time so that I don't have to feel this shame of not living up to the expectation that my boss or the principal of my child's school has of me. And also I won't be someone who will go beyond the call of duty if it is not in my best interest to do so, right? So shame is what causes a lot of people to work themselves to death in many respects, because they don't want to feel less than worthy of love, admiration, praise, validation, right? So they will overdo it at the workplace. They will overdo it also in relationships because they want to protect themselves from that negative feeling of shame, that degrading feeling of shame, you know. And yet, if they just had to approach their relationships and their interactions with the humility of, yes, I have agreed to this engagement, I will live up to the expectations that have been placed on me. But I'm not going to go beyond meeting those expectations unless I want to, unless it's in my interest to do so. But I'm not going to do it because I feel that if I don't, then it makes me a bad person, you see. So the shame works on our propensity to fall into the illusion that other people's perception of us determines our intrinsic worth as humans, and it doesn't. Our intrinsic worth is there because we are humans and we're alive, you know, on this planet. So I think it's very important that we then think of things like when someone says to someone, you should be ashamed of yourself, right? People who should be ashamed of themselves, and I think where shame is the right word in this context, is when someone abuses their power. Okay, someone who abuses their power should be ashamed of themselves. They should be shamed. You should be someone who is publicly removed from your position of power, publicly reprimanded for the sake of the society's sanity, and you should be shunned until you have proved that you are worthy of being treated with the respect that that office that you occupied actually bestowed upon you, you know, because that's how we are as humans. When someone occupies a position of power or authority, we give them respect because we assume that they are worthy to wield this power over us, right? And if they abuse that power, then that's when they should be ashamed. That's when they should be relegated to basically that dunghill type of sensation that you are being discarded, you're being rejected because you have screwed up where you should have been trustworthy and dependable. And people's lives have been destroyed or ruined because of your abuse of power. That's when shame is appropriate, okay? When someone makes a mistake, when a child in particular makes a mistake, there is no place for us to use the word shame with them. We can say, if you had been more humble about in your approach to this, you would have been more successful. So I hope that you will learn this lesson now. But I understand you're still growing. But at your age, I would have expected you to see this, but I understand that you made a mistake. And, you know, I'm also sorry that I didn't guide you properly, perhaps, you know, and then you talk it out. Humility as a parent then will bring out the humility in the child, you know. And I think when it comes to apologies, this is also where these words are very important, because if you say, I'm so ashamed of myself, I'm sorry, please forgive me, what you're doing is you are trapping yourself and that person in that moment, you know, in that time-space capsule. You are trapping yourselves because you are saying, if you're saying, I'm so ashamed of myself, you're basically saying your reaction to my behavior has made me feel that I'm trapped in this identity of being this person who is shameful, right? I'm sorry, please forgive me. Now, it's on that other person to release you from this cage of shame by opening the door to their heart and letting you out of it so that you're no longer ashamed of yourself. So you see that it actually puts the responsibility on the other person. Whereas if you say, I humbly apologize for my actions, please forgive me, you are taking it upon yourself to correct the situation. You are opening your heart to that other person's heart, and you are letting that person know that you are taking accountability. You are going to make things better. Whereas the shame paradigm is for the other person to accept you back in, which is irresponsible.